Hi, you guys. How's it going? Are we getting through this? Oh, isn't it crazy times? Well, let's make a crazy piece for the crazy times. Here's a really, really cool background. Look at this. And this is not so cool. So my sister gave me this. It was just something she picked up and I absolutely hate it, but we're going to fix it. So I'm going to go over all of this texture on this canvas with some heavy gesso, and the type I'm using is Liquitex, and I'll link it below. It is super heavy gesso. It spreads on like frosting, stiff frosting. I'm using my palette knife and I'm filling in all those nooks and crannies there of that texture that I didn't like. I'm hoping I'm not offending anyone and they were just in love with that piece of art there. I apologize, and I do not mean to offend anyone. It just was not my taste, not what I was looking at today. And the canvas was rolling around in my craft room, and today was the day that it was going to be fixed or changed in some way. So I'm putting this heavy gesso on, like I said, with a palette knife, and I'm just not really caring. I'm just covering it. I hope you guys are surviving this craziness. Hopefully it will be over soon. I just don't even want to talk about it. I'm sorry. I'm just done with it. So spreading this out with my palette knife, and you can see I'm just going up and down with my palette knife, giving it more and more and more texture. Well, it had lots of texture I didn't like, so let's just give it some more. And actually, this is going to take quite a while to dry. I think I left it over an hour, and I did use my heat tool. So I'm going to clean up my area and let it dry. Here, I cut out all the parts off of this piece of wallpaper, and I did not know what I was going to use, but I knew I wanted that parrot on there. I had no idea where this project was going. So I cut everything out, and of course I'll use it in something else. So here on tissue paper, I thought I would put these fern leaves on that, just because there's so much texture on that background as it's drying right now. I didn't think I'd be able to get a good impression by just using the stencil and the brush. So I'm gonna make some tissue paper, and the color of archival ink I used was fern green. I was trying to get it to match as best I could with the green and the leaves and the parrot. And like I said, I wasn't sure what I was going to use of that piece of wallpaper. I just knew I loved the colors. It was just really speaking to me. So I'm using my stencil brush, and I'm using this stencil. The stencil is by Crafter's Workshop. I kept the packaging, and not sure what it's called, but I will look into that and link it below, of course. But it's a cool one. I really like. I like ferns, and right now they're coming up in my yard and they are looking really cool. I have been doing a lot of yard work lately, and maybe that's what inspired this piece, just because of the greens and the blues and the yellows, and there's even a bit of orange. So here, this canvas was hollow on the back. So I put MDF board behind there, as you could see, and I taped it in with just some removable tape. And that just gives me a sturdier surface to work on, and we can take it out after it's all done. So I'm using my matte medium here, and I'm giving it a good coat in all of those bits of texture that I created with that heavy gesso. And I'm going to put down this tissue paper, and I think that it looks so cool. You let me know what you think. So yeah, getting a good coat And I could have turned off my fan. I had a fan going in my craft room, but I got it down pretty well. This piece has a lot of different techniques in it, and I hope you like it. It's always fun to try something different, and these are things that I've thought about. I haven't used much, and I thought, well, let's do something different today. So I'm covering my piece of tissue paper that I stenciled those ferns on through a stencil. Obviously, stenciled through a stencil. That makes no sense. And now I'm just working out some of those bubbles with my finger and making sure that that tissue paper is nice and stuck down. I think it looks cool just like this. What do you think? And I think it's really neat when I put the brown wash on it. Yes. So look at that. That's cool, huh? And it's all dry. So now I want to kind of see what I wanted to do with my parrot. And look at, I found this in my stash, my box of goodies. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I must have needed a drink. Well, I printed that glass out on tissue paper. And if you wait till the end, I will link a video where it shows that technique in a different video. So I'll be sure to do that. So it's on tissue paper. I'm just going to cut it out with my scissors. And I wanted it on tissue paper for the exact same reason that I put those ferns down with tissue paper, because there is so much texture going on. And that piece of cardboard cut out from that greeting card, well, it was cardboard, just that, and it was going to stick up off the piece, and I didn't want that. So everything is dry here, and I made sure it was really dry because I didn't want to end up taking that tissue paper right back off with wet paint. And I'm using my burnt umber and water and creating a wash and going over the background, getting all of that great texture. It was really fun to see how it turned out. I was getting excited about it. So I hope that you're stopping by my channel on Saturdays and watching my art journal series, Finishing Backgrounds. That's really quite fun, and it's just a different avenue that you can do with using all of your stamping products, your mixed media products, and then of course your art journaling products. They're all the same thing. We're just using them in different techniques with different substrates. And wouldn't this technique be really cool on a card? I probably might need to make some of those. That's a great idea. If I do, I'll let you know what I come up with. So just giving water, and I'm pouncing it off with a damp towel that I have there. And I'm going around spraying it and letting it dry and letting it run and getting it to the place I wanted it to be. And I think this is it. It's pretty darn cool. So everything's dry. Look at that. Oh, I love that background. Love, love, love. I think I will put something just in that middle left area for a different piece. See what happens. Maybe I'll have that coming up here shortly. So I'm cutting out my words that I typed up on my computer and ran it through my printer. And it says it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So I'm going to stick that tissue papered glass beverage down in the corner. And I wanted to get rid of that white that was around the garnish. And I'll show you here what I'm talking about. Put that black paper down so you could see. So there, that white in between, I don't know if it's strawberries or a piece of lime or whatever it is. And then there's a cute little straw there, which I accidentally ripped off, but you'll see how I fix it. Something must be sticky on my scissors there. they were starting to bother me. So I'm using water, and I'm just cutting off those ends of the sentiment there. And of course I was going to go all the way around it. Well, what are you thinking? It's fine. I started to rip it and stuff like that. So just, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is art, right? I was just having a fun time doing it. My husband was out golfing, and my girlfriend sitting in the chair next to me, and we're talking, and we're just creating and coming up with great ideas. It was quite fun. And I told her I would show her the end piece, of course, when I finish tonight, but I'm going out to plant flowers again this evening while the sun's still out. So it's fun to have different things to do. Nice to be able to walk away from the project and then come back. So here's what happens. I put this down, and I'm going to use some matte medium, and I kind of got a little bit too much, but we're going to cover the whole piece anyways by putting down that parrot and everything. So just kind of scoop it to the side there a little bit so I can put the glass, I don't know, margarita or whatever it would be, tropical drink down, and I'm putting the matte medium over the top again. So giving it a good coat, and I think that looks super cool. I love the blues and the greens. And then I'm going to put the sentiment right over the top. Here I'm just going with placement just to see where everything will fit. And then I thought the 5 and the o'clock needed to be separated because I had enough room that way. So I just made it work. And that's what I came up with. I'm going to put it down with my matte medium. Hopefully not ripping it. I did pretty good. And you don't really have to worry about the tissue paper over the rim of that glass, not the rim, the edge there on the left, because we can cover that with charcoal when everything is dry. So I'm going to let that dry, and while I'm working on that, I'm going to put that parrot down, and I'm going to be very careful not to put my hand in that because it's going to be wet, of course. The parrot now is made out of wallpaper, so I'm choosing to put it down with some matte gel because it's heavier, and I need to water down my matte gel. I'm almost to the bottom of this container, and it's kind of getting dry, so almost time to get out something new. That's always a good feeling when you know that you've used a whole container in your creating. I think that's pretty exciting. I get excited about using up product. Not that it's super fun to pay for, but isn't it great to get a new jar of it? Yeah. Okay, so I coated the back, and that wallpaper was sucking that matte gel right up. So I really had to go after it, getting all the edges, going over the top, putting it down with my finger, not touching that glass. I'm trying not to touch that glass. And this did take me a little bit, so I know I finished it off camera, but you get the gist of it. You want to get it all stuck down so that everything is covered, because when we go over it with the charcoal and the watercolor pencil, it all has to be dry. So here, cool, huh? Let's take those pieces of MDF board out of the back there. That's how I had them stashed in there, just to give us a sturdy substrate. And now I'm going to use my emery board and whack off the bottom of that tissue paper. And of course I can't use the emery board on the wallpaper, so I'm using my sharp scissors and going around that. Of course I gotta clean up my area. I'm sorry. I'm semi a neat freak. Not totally, but semi. Now you can see on the bottom here where I was looking, the bottom right, my somewhere, the E was hanging off the edge, so you didn't get to see it. I really don't care because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm using my Inktense Bark watercolor pencil here because there's a lot of texture, remember, around that wallpaper. It's really sticking up. So I have a little bit of water to the right there. I just sprayed it on my mat and I'm just dabbing the tip of the watercolor pencil into that water and going around the edge. And then I'm going back with my paintbrush, just using water and just melting those edges. That's how I like to use my Inktense watercolor pencil to do the shading. And I will grab out probably my spray bottle. Oh, there, I did it. And dabbing it and going back and forth until you get the look that you want. It takes a while and it takes practice. So I cut most of this out because we would be here for another hour and a half. It does take a long time. And I feel that if you do it for a bit and then you walk away and do something else and come back to it, that is when it's most rewarding. I have to take the piece and hold it way far away from where I'm sitting because I'm too close to it. So take your time and embrace the process. I think it's really great. And I know a lot of you say that you have a hard time doing it and you have a struggle, but take your time, use your heat, dry it, go back, use your water, and soon enough you'll have it to where you like it. Okay, so now I'm going to use pan pastels and I'm trying to get that blue on that glass to match the blue on the bird. So how do you do that? You give them both the same color blue. And that's what I did. And it was a really fun process. And I want to show you, I only have 2 of the blending brushes, but see how I'm doing that? I'm just dabbing it, the color off on the paper towel there to my right. I'm not smearing it because that'll rip that little pad. They're very delicate. I'm just dabbing it to dab that color off. And it does come off, and then I just use blues and greens and maybe yellows with the one brush, and then I use the warm colors, the oranges, greens, browns, things like that with the other sponge tip applicator that I have. I need to get more, but it's not important right now, I guess. There's other things I need to pay for and work on. So I'm adding some of that green color around on the bird again, and then on those leaves in the background and on the glass, pulling it all together. Here I wanted to darken in that orange of that orange slice and give that red a little base there. So it's a process again when you're using these pan pastels. I absolutely love them. Here I took a little bit of the pink that was on my sponge there and gave pink back to that straw down in the right bottom corner. And it made it pop. It made it really cool. Now here I'm using my white pastel pencil and I'm adding in those highlights again. And then I see, oh, well, some of that black charcoal really needs to be a bit darker. So I go back in with my black charcoal pencil. You just keep working it until you get it how you like it. So here I'm adding a little bit of brown, and I think that really ties in with the background too, because they're both nice rich colors of brown, and then they match. So then I liked it that way. Here's my charcoal. I saw that I needed to do some more of that dark in there. Go around those leaves. I hadn't finished that portion there on the branch. You can see I hadn't done those leaves with charcoal around them, so they don't pop out. Well, now you'll see that they do, and I'm just going real lightly. And this is a 6B extra soft General's charcoal pencil. That's the one that Sean always uses, Sean Petit, and I'll link her channel at the end here too, so you can watch her videos. She is just amazing at this. Here, I'm just adding a little bit of that orangey yellow back to it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like it says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, right now where I am, it's a Thursday evening, and it is 6 o'clock, so maybe I will have to mix myself a tropical cocktail. What do you think? Tomorrow's Friday, and it is payday, which is nice for me. I told you that I did take a little job at this daycare, 7:30 a.m. to 12:30 noon. Very, very nice hours. Super nice people. It's working out well. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the pictures at the end. And I'm almost ready to do my online class. And I'm sure if you watch my videos, you've been hearing about it. I only have 4 spots left. So if you're interested, it's going to be before the end of May here, coming up shortly. It's going to be a live broadcast, and the class is going to be $85, and you will get a nice box of Stamperia products to work on the project, and we're going to do it together. So let me know. I need your information. Have a great day. Thanks so much, and it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Go have a beverage. Tell them that I said you could. Stay safe.
Okay, I almost forgot. Someone asked me how I finish my pieces, and I believe it was Sherry. So Sherry, this is the answer. You wanted to know how I finished my pieces. And I'm doing this piece live because I'm practicing live online class. And if you need details, just email me. I have 4 spots left. It's going to be before the end of May. The cost is $85, and it's Stamperia products, and you will get a box in the mail from me. So it is a great value. I think maybe I'm making about $20 on the actual class. So I just want to practice it. You know, everybody's doing this Zoom and live, so I have never done it. So it's something I need to do. So here we go. Here's the piece, and of course it's dry and it's been sitting overnight. Well, last night I actually sprayed it with this Fixative, and this is a non-toxic, all-natural, odor-free, so you can spray it in the house. And I just went, you know, went over it real nice, generous, let it dry, and then I did it again. So that's the way you can use that type of fixative in the house. Now, if there's something that has a lot of, let's see, water-soluble product on it, which this one does, and I'm hoping that it won't smudge, and I would go ahead and use this polyacrylic water-based sealer, and you would do that in the same way. You would make sure you had a well-ventilated area or go outside, because this is, you know, a spray can. You have to shake it and all of that. So I already have this one on there, and that's how I'm going to show you right now. So it's dry. It sat overnight last night, and then I used this water-based polyacrylic protective finish, and I get this at Menards, and I'm almost out, but I wanted to show this process because Sherry wanted to know. So I just use a clean brush, and it's dry, and I dip it in, and you have to be careful not to go back and forth and back and forth, because if there is any charcoal or anything that wants to smear, it will go ahead and smear on your piece. So you have to be very careful and just go across it. See right here, it's smeared a little bit. So how you fix it is you just dab it up with a dry towel. So you can't go back and forth. This is something that I need to practice also because I have a problem going back and forth like that. So if you feel that you have a little bit of black charcoal or something came off on your brush, just wipe it on your brush and go ahead, go from there. Just try not to go back and forth. Like sometimes I have a hard time doing it. It's something I'm learning. And then I just let it be. And it's going to dry clear and it's going to have a great finish on it. And I need to stop. So that is exactly how I do it. So this is going to be all nice and sealed. If you want, when it's all dry, go over it again if you see that you have a little spot. I see I have a little spot right here. Okay, so stop. You need to know when to stop, and obviously I always don't know when to stop. But go ahead and try it like that. Sherry, this is the completed process, and then in the pictures that you'll see at the end of the video, you'll see that it's all dry. So I will make sure to let this dry. I'll probably put one more coat of this on, and then I will take the pictures. Okay? So I hope you learned something. Check out that class. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you just email me, let me know, and I will make sure that I get right back to you. Okay, thanks you guys. Have a great day.